Hi folks, it's John from lastchanceautorestore.com. I'd like to share with you an update. You haven't seen this project yet, so a little bit of a surprise for our viewers. This is, we've already separated the body from the frame. This is a 1966 Oldsmobile Delta 88 convertible. Very rare car. We've seen it at quite a few show and shines in the area. It's been in the family for a very, very long time. It's a white car, very pretty from 10 feet away or so, looks quite nice. But the client was having some issues with front end and took it into a garage to have a tire repaired, and they told her that there were some holes in the floor and holes in the frame. So here's where we are right now. So here's the frame with the drive line. Everything's intact. So basically it was quite a bit of work. All of the body mounts are rotten. All of the body mount areas were pretty bad, and the frame is very, very questionable in a lot of places, but generally limited to the area in the front here. So I'm just going to share with you, it's very, very common. These full size, so this is a 66 Delta 88, very, very similar to Chev Impalas and all of the other GM line of full-size, full-frame cars. They're notorious for rusting in these front sections. And whoever did the repair on the vehicle before, it wasn't really restored, it was just a sand and a paint kind of thing, it looks like. This looks like an old piece of channel from a bed that someone has tack welded on, and you can see the rotted out holes through here. And on the other side, if we go to the inside of the frame, same kind of idea. So they basically just took a piece of whatever they had and they tried to tack weld it. There's very little, if anything, holding this weld on here. And what's happening is the frame has continued to rot from in behind. You can see we have some more rotting away where they tried to put a gob of weld on, and there's still a hole there. So this side isn't as bad, but it's still not safe and not done properly. And then what I'll do is I'll make my way to the driver's side, because this was the side that the car is actually flexing and moving. So I think what we'll do is, we've done quite a bit of work so far. We're going to share with you how thick of a plate we're going to use, because most people make the really big mistake of not going far enough when they do a repair, or use strong enough steel, or have a strong enough welder. So this is pretty nasty on this side. You can see where, once again, they've taken some pieces of bed metal frame, pardon me, and they've welded it. And where they've welded basically on top of where the rod is, and then it just kept rotting away. And then you can see it's going further. We've got holes through here, and it continues at the transmission cross-member mount. There's holes, you can put your pen through here, and obviously all along here. So it's not very nice. And then as we come down further, you can see we have more rot, and that once again is rotted through, and it's quite punky. So what we need to do, the Ontario safety standards, here being in Ontario, Canada, pardon me, any rust through area in a frame of a vehicle that's repaired, you must go 6 inches further than the last rusted section. So as soon as you can determine where this rust or punkiness ends, you go from there and measure out 6 inches, and that's where you're permitted to do an actual frame repair. Now if we can get our camera person to come around to this side, I'll share with you what we've done on this side so far. So I apologize for being messy, but I just wanted to, before we get too far into the repair, I think if the camera person comes to this front section, there's lots to see here. So basically what we had to do is set the vehicle up on axle stands and make sure everything was level. And now, so here we are behind the back wheel of the driver's side. And you can see obviously we have rot all the way through, and and it comes around on the underside and the bottom side, which, so basically what we have, hopefully the camera can pick it up, it's just the lighting here is a little bit off for the camera, and then I've got a camera or an extra light. So basically behind the tire on the driver's side, you can see how rotten it is there. Well, this amount of rot was actually worse down this side. So basically what we've done, and you can see we have the new piece of metal, I'll just come around the other side. We have a new piece of metal there, so we cut out all of the rusted stuff, and then we made a piece, pardon me. So we made a piece, and this is quite thick plate. So we made a piece that is going to go in here, and then the rust basically stopped around here. And then we went an additional 6 inches, about 6.5 inches further in. And then we've prepared all this metal, and then we can have, and you can see how strong our weld is, and then we've welded all of that solid all the way across. So we've got quite a nice repair here. And then we've ended at this notch or ending point. This other piece that we're preparing and getting ready, this is going to be going into the bottom. And once that gets in and fitted properly, then we're basically going to have a whole new frame section completed on this side, and we'll have to do the same thing on the other side. Now, if our camera person can just skip over into the middle. Pardon me. We'll just get right. Basically, the camera is now kind of like in where the back seat would be of the driver's side of the car. So this is still the driver's side, and you can see how they've done the repair here, except the rot out is worse. You can see how rotten it is, and then through the bottom, I believe the camera can pick it up. There is a drain hole from the factory, but the rest of the holes, literally you could put your hand through the frame in 4 sections along here. So that's why we have to go as far back as we're going. So as you can see, when this car was on the hoist, we had to be really, really careful, because when we put it on the hoist, things were flexing, and in a convertible you don't want anything to be flexing. So the gap of the door, the quarter panel, changed dramatically. So then we looked a little bit closer, and we saw that we could put our fingers through the frame on both sides, and then when you see the repair, like I think the camera person can pick it up, if you just do a quick visual of that patch that someone just tack welded on there. So you just look at that and you see the rot through the bottom, and you go, oh my goodness, this isn't safe at all. And then how far does the rot go? So we never want to be too extreme, but to be able to get access, and the car's been rust proofed, and there's a bunch of tar and flammable materials on the firewall body and floor section, because they did so much like patching and stuff over time. That was just a fire hazard waiting to happen. So the best plan was, we wanted to make sure the frame was square. We wanted to make sure that the weight of the car, because everything was kind of tilting, we didn't want it to move or flex on the frame doing the repair. So in my opinion, this is the best way to do it. We have it on axle stands in the appropriate locations. We've got levels that we've been using all the way along to make sure nothing's shifting and moving. And that's why we started on the outside. So by cutting the outside piece and welding that in first, that strengthens the weakest point of this frame, and we'll continue with this repair. So once we have the frame repaired, we were able to locate new body mounts and hardware. So what we'll do is we'll share with you, once we have the new metal in place and ground down, how much nicer this is going to be, and obviously a lot safer. So this is a 1966 Oldsmobile Delta 88 convertible, and I thank you for watching. I'm John from lastchanceautorestore.com.